He watched himself sleeping on the hotel TV. The television flickered on by itself at 2:47 a.m. Daniel Cole jolted awake to the low hum filling his hotel room. He sat up in bed, heart pounding, eyes fixed on the glowing screen across from him. The remote was on a nightstand, untouched. The TV showed a grainy black and white image. For a moment, he thought it was a security camera feed, until he realized the image on the screen was him. He was watching himself sleeping, on that very bed, in that very room. Same sheets, same pillows, same faint crease in the blanket by his knee. Daniel stared, paralyzed. The version of himself on the screen turned over, exhaled deeply, then went still again. But Daniel was wide awake now, gripping the edge of the mattress. Slowly, the camera feed on the TV began to zoom in closer, like someone behind a lens was manually adjusting focus. "Hello?" he whispered, scanning the room. The air conditioner hummed. No movement, no reflection in the window. The TV continued showing him, sleeping, unaware. Then, suddenly, the image blinked. The feed jumped to a wider shot of the entire room. His body, the nightstand, even the faint outline of his suitcase near the bathroom door. Someone was filming from inside. Daniel's throat went dry. He moved toward the TV, inch by inch, eyes darting at every corner. Under the desk, behind the curtains, the ceiling vent. Nothing. He finally reached the TV, trembling, and yanked the plug from the wall. The screen went black. For a moment, there was silence. Then, a single click sounded from the bathroom, followed by the faint red glow of a light turning on behind the mirror. He froze. There wasn't supposed to be any light behind that mirror. Daniel backed away, his breathing sharp and shallow. He stumbled toward the door, but before his hand reached the handle, the TV flickered back on, this time unplugged. The static hissed, then formed the same image again. Him, standing near the door, watching the TV. Only now the feed was from a different angle, from right behind him. He spun around. No one there. The TV volume began to rise on its own, filling the room with that unbearable buzzing sound. Daniel's reflection on the screen blurred, distorted, as if something or someone was moving closer to the lens on the other side. He could almost hear faint breathing beneath the static. Then, the image shook violently, and for one fleeting second he saw it, an eye pressed against the camera lens, watching him. Daniel's scream echoed down the hallway. When hotel security arrived minutes later, the TV was still on, the plug lying on the floor. Daniel was gone. The bed was empty, its sheets perfectly undisturbed, like no one had slept there at all. And on the screen, a new feed had begun. A different guest. A new room. Same hotel. 3 days earlier, Daniel Cole had driven 6 hours from Chicago to a small town in Indiana called Maple Hollow, the kind of place that didn't exist on most maps until you zoomed in close. He was a freelance tech writer, exhausted from covering a cybersecurity conference, and all he wanted was a quiet night's rest before heading home. The red line and looked ordinary enough when he checked in. Cheap, clean, anonymous. The desk clerk barely looked up from her phone when she handed him the key card. "Room 217, she said flatly. "Breakfast ends at 9. Room 217 sat at the end of a long, dim hallway with flickering lights. The carpet smelled faintly of bleach. Inside, everything was perfectly average. A queen bed, an old flat-screen TV mounted on the wall, a set-top box taped beneath it, humming quietly. Daniel tossed his bag on the bed and noticed a tiny green light glowing on the TV box, even though the television itself was off. He shrugged it off. Hotels always had weird wiring. That night, as he unpacked his laptop, Daniel noticed the room felt too quiet. No traffic, no footsteps, just a faint buzz of electricity. He connected to the Wi-Fi. Redline guessed 2.4 gigahertz, and his browser immediately redirected to a pop-up asking for access permission. It read, "This device is currently under system maintenance. Please do not disconnect." He frowned, clicked cancel, and shut the lid. The message lingered in his head. Later, while brushing his teeth, he thought he heard faint scratching behind the mirror, probably old pipes. The sound stopped when he leaned closer. When he finally climbed into bed, the TV clicked once, not loud, just enough to make his eyes snap open. The small green light on the box had turned red. He got up, turned the TV on, and saw nothing but static. No signal. He turned it off again and lay down. Maybe he was just overtired. At 1:14 a.m., his phone buzzed on the nightstand. It was a text from an unknown number. Unknown? You move a lot when you sleep. Daniel sat up. The message had no area code, no reply option. He turned on the lights. Everything looked normal. Just him, alone in a generic room. He unplugged his phone, stuffed it in his backpack, and left it zipped. By morning, the message had vanished completely, not even in his history. Downstairs, while checking out, Daniel asked the clerk if anyone else had access to guest Wi-Fi systems. She blinked, confused. "We don't keep track of that stuff. The routers are managed remotely," she said. Her tone made it clear she didn't care. As he loaded his bag into the car, Daniel looked up at the window of room 217. The curtains had been drawn when he left, but now they were half open. And through the glass, he swore he saw the faint red blink of a light, the same one from under the TV. He decided to stay another night, just to see what was really going on. That decision would be the last normal choice he ever made. Daniel returned to room 217 before sunset. He told himself it was for research. As a tech journalist, he had written about data breaches, camera hacks, and smart devices spying on people. But this felt different. He closed the curtains, turned on the lamp, and began checking every inch of the room. He unscrewed the vent, pulled the painting from the wall, even shined his phone flashlight under the bed. Nothing. The place looked clean, too clean. Then he crouched near the TV. The set-top box still emitted a faint hum, that same tiny red light blinking like a heartbeat. He noticed something else this time, a thin cable that disappeared into the drywall, not into a normal outlet. He tugged it gently. It didn't budge. Daniel snapped a picture with his phone and zoomed in. The wiring was older than the rest of the hardware, like someone had hidden it there long before the room was renovated. He decided to call the front desk. "Yeah, it's Daniel Cole in 217. I think there's something off with the TV setup here. Maybe a camera or..." The woman on the other end cut him off. "We'll send maintenance up shortly." He waited 15 minutes. No one came. When he called again, the phone didn't ring. Dead silence. That's when he heard it. A faint click from behind the wall. Then, through the static of the TV speakers, came a low electronic whine and a distorted voice. "Do you see yourself now, Daniel?" He dropped the receiver and stumbled back. The TV had turned itself on, showing static that slowly cleared into a blurry image. The room again, filmed from above. He could see his own head, his shaking hands, the phone on the nightstand. He turned toward the ceiling, but saw only plaster and a smoke detector blinking green. The TV feed shifted again, this time showing a hallway outside his door. Someone was standing there. He froze. The figure was just beyond the peephole, tall and still, wearing a hotel uniform. No face visible. Daniel grabbed his phone, ready to record, but the image on the TV flickered back to static. When he looked through the peephole, the hallway was empty. He backed away from the door, chest tight, sweat cold on his neck. The light behind the bathroom mirror flicked on again, the same faint red hue pulsing through the glass. He crept closer, every step deliberate. Through the fog surface, he thought he saw motion, like the faint outline of a person standing behind a mirror, just out of focus. He whispered, "Who's there?" No answer, only the hum of the TV. He picked up his phone again, recording this time. "If anyone finds this, check the walls." Theirs. The power went out. Complete darkness. Then, from the other side of the mirror, came the sound of slow, deliberate breathing. Darkness swallowed the room. Daniel froze. Phone clutched in his hand, its dim screen casting the only light. The reflection in the black mirror looked like his own, until it moved when he didn't. He stumbled back toward the door, fumbling for the handle. Locked. He twisted and pulled, but it wouldn't budge. Then, somewhere behind him, the TV clicked back on, unplugged, yet glowing again. On the screen, a new feed appeared. Daniel's back. Live. He turned around sharply, phone flashlight cutting through the gloom. The light landed on the TV, and that's when he saw it. A tiny pinhole camera embedded inside the lower bezel, blinking faintly. His reflection on the screen trembled as he approached. The feed zoomed in on his own face. "Who's doing this?" he shouted, his voice breaking. From the speaker came that same distorted whisper, calm and deliberate. "You checked in, we never said you could leave." Daniel yanked the TV off the wall, crashing it onto the carpet. The screen shattered, but another small red light was still glowing behind it, deeper inside the drywall. The hum of hidden wiring filled the silence like breathing. He turned toward the bathroom mirror again. The red glow behind it had changed, stronger, shifting like movement. Then, with a sharp crack, the glass split. A thin vertical line spread from top to bottom. Daniel lifted his phone to record. When a pale hand pressed flat against the other side of the mirror, he dropped the phone. The mirror bulged outward, as if something was pushing through. He stumbled backward into the wall, knocking over the lamp. The air conditioner kicked on suddenly, blasting cold air that carried the faint smell of wet dust and static. Then silence. The red light vanished. Daniel stared at his reflection, only it wasn't quite his. The man in the mirror was standing still, while Daniel was trembling. Slowly, the reflection smiled. His phone vibrated. The screen read, "Unknown, smile for the viewers." Before he could react, the reflection leaned forward and pressed its hand against the inside of the glass again. This time, the mirror cracked wider. Daniel turned to run, but the lights burst back on all at once, flooding the room with blinding white. The door swung open. 2 police officers stood in the doorway. They had received a noise complaint from another guest. "Sir, are you all right?" one asked, but Daniel just stood there, shaking, unable to speak. The mirror behind him was now whole. No cracks, no glow. The officers looked around, puzzled. When they left, Daniel grabbed his bag and fled the hotel without looking back. 3 days later, police investigating his report entered room 217. The room was empty, but when they turned on the television to check its input, it displayed a paused video feed. Daniel, sitting on the edge of the bed, staring directly into the camera. Below the footage, a line of text scrolled across the screen. Stream ended. Next guest loading.